Hey, what's up, Fighter? Fireman64 here, and welcome back to another Mario Kart track tier list video. Last time we took on the 3DS Mario Kart game, Mario Kart 7, and ranked all 16 Nitro tracks, as well as the Retro track, and ranked them based on which ones, in my opinion, are from best to worst. And as a result, Mario Kart 7 Retro track did slightly better than the new track that Mario Kart 7 had to offer. And now we finally get to Mario Kart 8, the base game, to be specific. And we'll be ranking the first half of the Mario Kart 8 track before it was later enhanced to the Nintendo Switch as what we now know today, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, there are a total of 96 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but for the time being, we're going to be focusing on the base game of Mario Kart 8, and we'll be doing the first half of the track, which means we're going to be doing 16 Nitro track, 16 Retro track, and, for the first time ever, ranking the 16 DLC track that came along to the base game. There are a total of 12 cups in all, because 12 times 4 is 48, if you were to do the math. So, we got a long list of rankings here. We're going to be going from Mushroom Cup all the way to the Super Bell Cup. And it's going to be a long ride, but I think it's about time we get to the first half of the Mario Kart 8 track before another 48 course got later added in Deluxe for the Booster Course Pass. So, before we begin, do me a huge favor and punch that like button on this video. I would really appreciate it. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button today if you're not a subscriber already, because there's still a lot of you watching my videos that are not a subscriber, and if you're one of them, do me a huge favor, before you leave this video, hit the subscribe button today and let's reach that goal of 600 subs, and hit the notification bell if you enjoy gaming content such as this one. First of all, I'm going to let you know in advance, I do apologize if my voice sounds a little bit off and a little weakened, but that's because she's been killing me for since last week. So, if I don't sound normal, that's why. Anyway, aside from that point, we have 6 categories this time around. In the S tier are tracks that I consider my favorite ones of them all. A is tracks that I do love but don't consider them favorite. B are tracks that I consider them to be pretty solid and likable. C are tracks that I don't care for. D are tracks that I don't like but don't hate. And then F tier is, well, I think you guys know already. These are tracks that I despise. And we got 48 tracks this time around. and it's better off that we start with the Nitro track. And our first one up, we have Mario Kart Stadium. Pretty solid track to start off with, and a fun one at that. And this is the next game that introduces anti-gravity, which I think is a very cool gimmick to Mario Kart 8 for, like, being sold on a console that failed miserably. And to be honest, I'm really glad that Mario Kart 8 was given another chance to be a better version, which we now know today, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It kind of put the base Mario Kart 8 game to shame, but there are some good tracks, and this one I think is pretty solid for Mario Kart Stadium. And to me, probably one of the best starter tracks of them all. You get to learn about the anti-gravity, and the music is a banger too. It's a good place to start started all off at. Now, while I don't consider this to be my favorite or love the track, it's a good track to go by and train up for like newcomers and that stuff. So that's why I'm going to give Mario Kart Stadium a solid B tier. Not bad, not bad, solid. Anyway, next up we have Water Park. Pretty simple name if you ask me, but I do like this one pretty good, but not as good as Mario Kart Stadium. So, if you don't remember Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 7 allows you to drive underwater. Well, the same is said for Water Park, and there's some good use of anti-gravity. Now, it's a short track, and there's not much going on, but I think it's pretty good for the most part. I think this is another solid track. Again, not my favorite, but it's pretty good for what it is. Sweet Sweet Canyon next, and this is a dessert-themed track. This definitely one of the weaker ones in my opinion, but I still think it's just okay at best. You got like piranha plants that you gotta deal with. You got like some turd and you're being shot out of a cannon. Look at all the sweet stuff. That's really about it. I think this is just mid at best. This one doesn't leave a big of impact as it should. But I think my favorite Mushroom Cup of the four has to be Twomp Ruin. And I just gotta say, I love the music for this. Like, a track that represents Twomp, it works pretty well. And it theme around them is pretty good. And even the background. I also like how there's like a shortcut that you can use, like midway through the race, at the very middle section, which would be a gliding section. There's some neat little shortcut and that stuff. Yeah, I gotta give this a solid A. Or actually, maybe that's a little too high. I should probably give this a B tier. Twomp Ruin is a solid track, and I do like it pretty well. So, yeah. Decent start so far for a game that was on a failed console. But yeah. That's all the Mushroom Cup. Sorry. Anyway, on to the Flower Cup, and we have Mario Circuit. Not GBA Mario Circuit, but vanilla Mario Circuit of Mario Kart 8. And this is really just form of an 8. Yeah, I'm honestly not too crazy about Mario Circuit. It's pretty much doing the same turn over and over again, and you're taking like right turns every time. There's piranha plants that you gotta dodge, and that's pretty much it. I honestly think this is, well, I don't hate this track, but I feel like Mario Circuit could have done more. Aside from the anti-gravity that it have. Anyway, next is Toad Harbor. Oh, Toad Harbor. This is actually a track I used to not like when I was like in my college year, because when Mario Kart 8 came out, I was still in college during that time. But looking at Toad Harbor now, I kind of appreciate it more. I know it had the name of my least favorite character on there, but we're not talking about the character name related to the track. I mean, having to look at the trolleys that go around like you see in San Francisco, I think that's a pretty neat detail. And you can also bounce on the trolley off the ramp, where you like go down the slope and that stuff. There's like a little section that you can go by, like two different ways also drive through the wall. I think that's pretty cool. And I think this is another solid track. Probably better than Twomp Ruin. Now, all I'm going to say is that there are some of the courses that became battle courses for some reason, but we're not going to talk about battle courses because battle courses are something I'm going to be talking about another time. In fact, I do plan on ranking them after I finish up all the tracks for anyone curious about that. This and Mario Circuit was the chosen battle track in the main Mario Kart game for some reason. But I'm not going to give my opinions on them. But for the time being, Toad Harbor, it's going to get beat here. Nothing too special. Anyway, next we got another haunted course being Twisted Mansion. Yeah, honestly, Twisted Mansion is so underrated, dude. I love this course so much. I mean, you got the behemoth. You got the face of behemoth in front of you when you enter inside the mansion. You also got Knight being possessed by booze. You're driving inside an underwater section, which honestly is a little bit bizarre to me, and that boos are flying around, and the music rocks, dude. I love Twisted Mansion. It is such an underrated track, and I see hardly anybody choose this track. Now, this probably going to be me being a little bit booed by it, but this always has been a favorite of mine. I know someone's probably going to rant about me putting Twisted Mansion at S tier, but I just can't help but love the track, dude. Like, it's charming, and it doesn't get enough appreciation as it needs. Next, we have Shy Guy Falls, another great core, in my opinion. And it represents Shy Guy pretty well. I also love how the Shy Guys, sing along with the music. I also love how you, go up and then down the waterfall and that stuff. It's a neat track design, and I do like this one pretty well. I think this one's a solid A tier at best. Shy Guy Fall and hearing them sing along with the music, it's cute and charming, man. Really charming. I just can't help but love it, dude. But I don't love it nearly as much as Twisted Mansion, though. So, with the Flower Cup done, we now move on to the Star Cup. Now, all I'm going to say is, Star Cup, it might be one of the best Star Cup, but then again, maybe not. But let's get to it by ranking Sunshine Airport. Honestly, having a scene based off an airport was a clever idea. You're going inside the airport and watching, the cargo of, items go by, driving under a plane and having to take off and stick the landing and that stuff. Sunshine Airport it's a pretty good track. I do like it pretty well. Now, I do believe it. Sorry. Throw it again. I wish the stage was a little longer, but it's still pretty good at best. I gotta give some credit to Sunshine Airport and the creativity it has going for it. But anyway, next up we have Dolphin Shoals. Yeah, I'm not crazy about Dolphin Shoals, honestly, because to me, this is one of the tracks that I usually struggle to get first place on when I play online. No matter if it's a base game or if it's on 8 Deluxe. But I do see some creativity with Dolphin Shoals, but I feel like they could have done more with this one. honestly, to me, this was a bit mid. I don't nearly love it as much as I should. I mean, it's a beautiful track and all, but Dolphin Shoal, I just think it's a mid track at best, and it doesn't really stand out to me as some of the other ones that we're going to be talking about. Anyway, so the next one we're going to talk about is Electrodrome. Electrodrome. This is one of Sandman's least favorite stage, believe it or not. And Sam is probably going to hate me for doing this, but I gotta give this an S rank, because having a disco theme stage, you gotta admit it has the charm and some creativity along there. Like, see Prom play a bop to the music and watching all the characters dance in the background and being like a DJ player on the track, you gotta admire music theme core that are like disco themed. Now, disco isn't my type of music and that stuff, but I think with Electrodrome, they do it pretty well. It's always a fun time when we play Electrodrome, but nothing more fun than going on Mount Wario. Mount Wario is a section-based track that's really well done on this one. Basically, you're scaling a mountain and like climbing your way down the finish. And Mount Wario, I gotta say this, but Mount Wario got some great core here and there, and it's one of them. You're going down to the waterfall section. There's like some shortcuts here and there. You're dodging some trees. Kind of, Mount Wario is like something that you would see at a Winter Olympic game. If you really want to say. And Mount Wario, you have to admit this is legendary. And it's really good for what it is. Now, the debate between Electrodrome and Mount Wario, that was a pretty hard one for me, but I think Mount Wario got a good edge over Electrodrome. So that'll say much. So yeah, Mount Wario in S tier. Okay, so now with Star Cup out of the way, there's only 4 more Nitro tracks left. And now we get on to the Special Cup. And we start with Cloud Top Cruise. Now, Cloud Top Cruise. This is honestly a pretty fun track to race on. Driving above the cloud and driving through like a thundercloud area and having to dodge the lightning bolt for whenever you're going through the speed boost and boarding the airship. Kind of gives me some Mario Galaxy vibe, if you ask me. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Gusty Garden Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy, and the music is just legendary. Now, would I consider Cloud Top Cruise my favorite? No, but I honestly think this one is pretty good at best. So, Cloud Top Cruise, this one's pretty solid for what it is, and there are some creativity behind that. In fact, I think I would put it in front of Toad Harbor, thinking about it more. Now, Bone Drive Dune, I cannot say the same for that, because Bone Drive Dune, I'm just going to say it, it's a desert theme stage, and it's not an exciting one at that. I mean, the Bones product plants are pretty cool and all, and the NPC dry bones that you see at the near the end of the lap, and then seeing the dry Bowser statue face as you're getting ready to finish a lap and that stuff. It's cool, I guess, but it feels like one of the more weaker desert track in my opinion. And honestly, I prefer Mario Circuit over Bone Dry Dune. Although Mario Circuit is a bit simplified for being just an 8 shape track. Now, I would give Bone Dry Dune more praise, but I can't really think much about what part of the thing to say. Anyway, next up we have Bowser's Castle. And this one is honestly a very good Bowser Castle to race on. You have some Bowser lasers that you see from Super Mario Bros. 3. You have like the ball and chain. You got some fire sticks you gotta deal with. You gotta make a Bowser that punches the track and creates shockwave and that stuff. You got boulders to deal with. There's a lot going on with Bowser's Castle. And I think this was pretty good for the most part. And this is like one of my favorite Bowser's Castle. But do I consider it my favorite of all time? Not really. But I do think it's pretty good. Bowser's Castle's gonna get an A for me. Now we have Wii U's Rainbow Road. This is honestly one of the weaker Rainbow Roads in my opinion, because of it being more of a space-themed track more than it actually is a Rainbow Road. Now, I can kind of see why they did like a space station structure for Rainbow Road, but like I said, it's one of the more weaker Rainbow Roads in my opinion, and I don't find it as memorable as some of the other Rainbow Roads that we talked about in earlier Mario Kart game. Now, do I think this is a decent track? Of course. But I don't find it as good as Cloud Top Cruise. It has the potential to be A and S, but I just think Rainbow Road is just decently solid at best. I don't think it's mid-tier, but whatever. I do think it's a little better than Toad Harbor. So anyways, yeah. Don't have a single F tier, as you see. But we're getting there. We're getting to the ones that I don't like. Don't worry. That's all for the Nitro track. And now we move on to the Retro track for the Shell Cup. And first up is Mario Kart Wii Moo Metal. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I gave it, I think, a solid ranking, or I put it mid. I don't remember where I put it, but what do I feel about 8th Moo Metal? It's alright, I guess. I mean, the little ramp that you have where you can glide off is pretty cool, and the cows are still hazards in that stuff, but Movement Metal, it's never been really a top favorite of mine at best. Monty modes are also hazards, but that's pretty much about it. It's a mid-track, in my opinion. I don't consider it bad by all means, but it could have done better. And like Toad Harbor and Mario Circuit, this was also a battle track that were for some reason chosen. I can kind of see why it is, but whatever. Next up we have Super Circuit Mario Circuit. And this is the one where we have a slight change where we have a little bit of anti-gravity section off the one turn. But other than that, it's Mario Circuit at the end of the day. Mario Circuit, I do think it's a little bit of improvement from Super Circuit, but it's not by a large margin. But do I think it's better than the original Mario Circuit that we got for the Nitro track? Good question. Part of me wants to say yes, and part of me wants to say no. It's really debatable in my opinion. I mean, I don't mind racing on this track personally, but I just don't find it as memorable as some of the other tracks that we're going to be talking about later on. This is yet another mid track for me. I don't see this as a D tier, but some of them may think that. Anyway, the third track for the Shell Cup is Cheep Cheep Beat from Mario Kart DS. Pretty forgettable, pretty much a forgettable one for me, but it's alright, I guess. I do think it's better than what Mario Kart 7 Cheap Lagoon was. I think that was the name of the track. That was in 7. But Cheep Cheep Beach and Mario Kart DS. This is another track that I don't have too much love for, but it's just okay-ish at best. Yeah, honestly, Cheep Cheep Beach, I'm kind of in the middle with this one. I mean, Cheep Cheep are hardly a hazard here. And it kind of undermines the name of it a little bit, but yeah. But where to put Cheep Cheep Beach? I think I'm going to put Cheep Cheep Beach in... I think I'll put this at least a C tier. Like with Moo Moo Metal and Mario Circuit. I just don't think this leaves much of an impact as some of the other night retro tracks we're getting to later on. Anyway, next up is my least favorite Mario Kart track of them all in Mario Kart 64, Toad's Turnpike. Now, if you guys remember my ranking for Toad's Turnpike on Mario Kart 64, you'll notice I put it in the worst track ever. Now, what do I feel about Mario Kart 8? It's boring. It's boring, and it was one of the battle tracks that they added here. Nothing too special, really. I still think this is a pretty bad track. I mean, the traffic in that core, and the fact that it was widened, and then there's like the optional pathway up to where the wall is, in like 2 sections, and then tricking off the surfboard and getting off the takeoff. It's still like an 8-shaped track, and it doesn't really bring a lot of excitement to the table. And Toad's Turnpike, I believe, is like one of the weaker version of the Shell Cup. And I think Toad's Turnpike, it just doesn't scream excitement for me. So, D tier for Toad's Turnpike it is. Still one of my least favorite Mario Kart 64 tracks. Still is to this very day. Anyway, now we get to the Banana Cup, and we got another track that was considered my least favorite from Double Dash, Dry Dry Desert. Now, Dry Dry Desert, all I'm going to say is, they downgraded this one pretty badly, in my opinion. Because, for one, you don't have the Dirt Devil anymore that goes around the track, and 2, there's no Piranha Plant in the sand pit. Oh, and do you remember the Pokies that near the end of the track? That turned into an oasis. Now, some people may like the oasis, but Dry Dry Desert as a whole, I don't find anything too exciting, and the music is just not all that good, in my opinion. So, yeah. Dry Dry Desert is going to get an F tier this time around. I'm sorry, it's just that Dry Dry Desert just never screamed excitement for me. Like, I don't know a single soul in the world that would say that Dry Dry Desert is a great desert theme track, because it really isn't. Also due to the fact that Dry Dry Desert was a Mushroom Cup and Double Dash too, which doesn't help either. But a track that did improve is Donut Plane Dreams on Super Mario Kart, because if y'all remember Donut Plane Dream being a pain in the ass in Super Mario Kart, well, I think Donut Plane Dream did a whole lot better in that regard. But by how much though? Well, I've grown to appreciate the modern Donut Plane Dream more, and I guess that's because of how notoriously difficult the original one was. Especially that one section where you had to like jump over the little big water areas where you're not lagging behind and that stuff. And the fact that you could drive in the water in that stage makes up for it. Is it my favorite Nitro track? Or I'm getting my words mixed up today. Now, is this my favorite retro track? Not by a long shot, but I think this is much better than some of the other ones that we have talked about by far. But it's not going to take away the fact that it's still a short track and just mid at best. In fact, a lot of the retro courses aren't too good. But we're getting to some of the peak ones, don't worry. Anyway, next up we have Royal Raceway, one of my favorite raceway in Mario Kart 64. Now, all I'm going to say is, what they did with Royal Raceway is something I cannot forgive Nintendo for. So, remember how you could travel to Peach's Castle in Mario Kart 64? Well, Nintendo took that part away, and it infuriates me to no end in sight. But as a raceway as a whole, I still think this is a pretty solid track, even if that Easter egg was taken out. There's also those cute hot air balloons that you see as you go for the takeoff section, where you have that launch up of the ramp now changed to a glorious section. I think it worked pretty well for what it is. I don't find this quite an A tier, but I think this is a solid B tier. And it definitely is one of my favorite raceway, and it still is to this day, even if it's like under the name of Princess Peach, sorta. I still wish you could travel to see Peach's Castle, but that fact that Nintendo took that away is what I cannot forgive them for. It's still a great track at best. DK Jungle is the next one up in line, and this one is still as good as it is, in my opinion. You still got the Tiki guy from Donkey Kong Country Return, you got the little shortcut that you can do, there's still the Golden Banana Shrine that you go by. You have a lot of that stuff that returned, and I think this is a pretty much an A tier track. In fact, DK Jungle is one of my favorite Nitro. Why do we keep saying Nitro track? I mean, DK Jungle is one of my favorite retro tracks of the ones that we talked about so far. DK Jungle, while it may not be a favorite for some, it is for me. Alright, enough talk about the Banana Cup. I also find it pretty fitting that DK Jungle was the last track for the Banana Cup, honestly, now that I think about it. But yeah. Next we have Diaz Warrior Stadium to start off the Leaf Cup, and this one is a pretty decent core. You still have a lot of these boosters and lots of ramps that you can trick off of, and yeah, And it resembles how fun Wario Stadium is, like it was in Mario Kart DS. Solid track indeed, but not enough to put it in the A tier, but I think this is a solid B tier, and I do think it does a bit better than what Royal Wasteland does, because I still am infuriated that they took out the Peach Castle access, that little Easter egg that you could do. But yeah, Warrior Stadium, still a great track. Also had like another weather-based section at the very end, which is a bit awkward, and some anti-gravity section, but I think it worked pretty well. Sherbert Land is the next one in line, and this one I believe I ranked pretty low in Double Dash. But does it improve in this game? Not much. Honestly. This is yet another track that was a battle course. Along with Dry Desert. I forgot to say that. But it's true. There's like at least 6 tracks that on the retro track that were battle courses, and 2 that were nitros. But again, battle courses are the thing we are not talking about for this recording, as this is based on solely racetrack themselves. Not much more to be said here. Donut Plains Dream was also another one of them. Anyway, Sherbert Land. You can now drive underwater, which you couldn't in Double Dash, which give you like different areas that you could go by, and you can also go under the track in the frozen underwater section. It improves the track a little bit, but it's not by a long shot per se. This one I consider this at least a C tier, but I do think it's a little bit better than Chibi Mario Circuit and Cheap Beach. But it isn't by a long shot. And now that I think about it, I might put it above Moo Moo Meadows. It's kind of tempting, honestly. I'll leave it at what it is for now, but I could change my mind a little later. So, alright. Next is my favorite Mario Kart 7 track, Music Park. And it's still a great track to this very day. The music still slaps. You're still playing along with the song, the music, play the piano, and play a lot of the instruments still there. And those are those note that's bops to the music and that stuff. It's a fun time at Music Park, man. Like, it still remains a big favorite of mine to this very day. Piranha Plant are still bopping in the music as well. Like, Music Park, you just gotta admit, it was like Nintendo's greatest creation of all time for Mario Kart 7. Now porting into Mario Kart 8/8 Deluxe, and I think it got the same good justice as it deserved. It's just plain awesome. Really, really awesome. And next we have Mario Kart 64 Yoshi Valley, and the final battle course in the base game of Mario Kart 8. Now, for those who don't know, N64 Yoshi Valley was a track where you had no idea what ranking you were in as you're racing along the track. In this game, you do know where you're at. And there's like separate pathways, but there's only like one pathway that's the fastest route. And honestly, I kind of prefer the OG of Yoshi Valley over this version of Yoshi Valley. I mean, some people didn't like how you fell off the track and are stuck there for a long time, but Yoshi Valley, I still think this is a very great track, personally, but I feel like with one way being the faster path, it kind of tones down the ranking a little bit for me. And for that reason, I'm going to put this under Wario Stadium, but above Royal Raceway, because I do think both Yoshi Valley and Royal Raceway are still good tracks, even to this very day. It just is. Hardly any bad courses right now. But now we get on to the Lightning Cup. And, oh boy, it's another one of my favorite DS tracks, Tick-Tock Clock. One of my least favorite Mario 64 course. Now my favorite in Mario Kart DS and in the base game of Mario Kart 8. This is easily an A tier for me. It still represents a Clock Factory theme course pretty well. The pendulums are good. The minute hand and hour hand are still good. I think it has lots of improvement over its predecessor, and it does very well. And that same can be said for Piranha Plant Slide, because Piranha Plant Slide from Mario Kart 7, this was another great track to race on. You still got the Piranha Plant you gotta dodge, you still got the Goomba to dodge, still got the underwater base section, and you also can jump over the Piranha Plant. And you got some cardboard Goombas that you're still looking at. And the music is great. Piranha Plant Slide is a pretty great course. And I like it just as well as Tick-Tock Clock. But not enough to for me to put it in the S tier. But A tier does not hurt either for Piranha Plant Slide. And now we move on to one of my favorite Wii courses, Grumble Volcano. Still a fun and intense course in Mario Kart 8, and I'm honestly glad this one got remade. The tracks still crumble each lap you go by. There's also volcanic rock that shoots out of the volcano, forming hazards. There's also the Podobo. It's still as intense as ever. Probably more intense than Ace Bowser's Castle, in my opinion. And it's fun. Like, really fun. This deserves at least an S tier for how intense it is as a track. I think I'm going to put this above Electrodrome, but under Mount Wario. And now we have Mario Kart 64 Rainbow Road. What was once known as the longest Mario Kart Rainbow Road track ever, now cut to section-based track. Yeah, honestly, part of me prefers the OG of Rainbow Road, and then a part of me does not. I mean, I kind of understand why they put this section-based, but if they did it 2 laps like Wario Coliseum, I probably would have liked this better. Now, do I think this is better than 8th Rainbow Road? Absolutely. Because you still have all those beautiful firework things that you look at, like seeing Mario, Peach, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and some of the other famous iconic characters from that course. Now, while I don't consider this S-worthy, I will give it this. It is an A tier. For me, in my opinion. But it's going to be a low A. I'm going to put this above Shy Guy Falls. So, yeah. We had some hit and misses for the retro courses. And to me, it was a tough one to rank. But I think Nitro Track did slightly better than the Retro Track. But we're not done yet, because next we have the DLC track. Wave 1 and Wave 2. We have the A Cup first, and then the Triforce Cup for Wave 1, and then following that was the Crossing Cup and the Bell Cup. And we got some pretty interesting picks for this one. And first up on our list for the DLC track is Yoshi Circuit. And this is a big improvement over Double Dash's Yoshi Circuit and DS Yoshi Circuit. And it resembles Yoshi pretty well, obviously, as it is. Now, I still wish the shortcut, that underground shortcut, was still there, but doing that trick shortcut on the waterfall, it's still something you can do, but yeah. It's shaped like a Yoshi, and it resembles Yoshi pretty well. I mean, obviously the Yoshi Copter missing, but even still, it's a great track. This one is at least an A tier for me. I'm gonna put this, I guess, a little bit under Rainbow Road for the N64. Anyway, alright, next up we have a crossover track. Since Woohoo Loop and Manga Wahoo existed. And next we have the Excite Bike Arena, which is just an overshaped track with some tricks on there. Now, some people love it, some people hate it. It's like a simplified course where you do constant trick and the track layout on the oval changes every time. At least I think it does. And yeah, Excite Bike Arena is a pretty decent track, but not one I consider favorite. This one's gonna probably get a low B tier, in my opinion. Now, some may argue that it may be a C tier or lower, but Excite Bike Arena, either you're having a fun time with it or you're having a bad time with it. And there's no denying that Excite Bike Arena does pretty decent for the most part for a crossover game. Next, we have another Nitro Core being part of the DLC, and this is Dragon Driftway, and we have Gobbleglut, I think that was his name, representing the track. I also love how it's like Kung Fu themed track based off of Lack 2. Dragon Driftway was a fun track. A bunch of twists and turns, and it's like anti-gravity section for the most part, and it's a fun track at best. Like, anything that's like Kung Fu themed, I like them pretty well. Do I consider them favorites? No, but I do love them. This one will get at least an A tier. Yeah, as surprising as it is, I'm giving a lot of the tracks some good ranking this time around, with the exception of one of them being F tier. But yeah, Dragon Driftway, super fun track, but nothing is more fun than F-Zero Mute City. Honestly, it's a crime that F-Zero haven't gotten too many games as it should have, and believe it or not, I am an F-Zero fan. And why I love F-Zero? Well, it's intense and it's high-speed racing taking place in space. I mean, imagine space racing in Mario Kart, but better. And the music in that one is a banger. Obvious S rank for me. I love F-Zero. Bring back the franchise. Give us more than F-Zero 99. As much as I do love F-Zero 99, I still am praying for a remake on F-Zero GX. Because honestly, that would be awesome if it happened. The music's a banger, the track is fun, and a lot of it is fun. Now, we do have another F-Zero track that we're going to be talking about, but we'll begin to that momentarily. And now we move on to the Hyrule Cup. And next we have Mario Kart Wii's Wario's Gold Mine. Now, for those who remember Mario Kart Wii, the cart might hurt you in this game, but hurt you in Wii. Excuse me. The minecarts in Mario Kart Wii hurt you, but in this game they do not. In fact, Wario's Gold Mine is still a pretty decent, solid track, and I still like it for what it is. This one's at least a B tier for me. I think I should put this probably above, I'll probably put it right next to Wario Stadium. I mean, the mine not hurting you is a bit of a nerf, but still a fun track at best. And next up we have, oh god, this Rainbow Road again? That's right, Super Mario Kart Rainbow Road. Well, you heard me say it once in the last episode, and I will say it again. I am so sick of SNES Rainbow Road being remade over and over again. Similar to how I feel in Mario Circuit 3, which we'll talk about in the next Mario Kart track tier list. Now, I know people love the SNES Rainbow Road, but for me, I think SNES Rainbow Road overstayed its welcome. Still a simple and challenging track to race on, sure, and the Rainbow Twop still hurts you and create shockwave and that stuff. That's pretty much it. I do not like racing on Rainbow Road. It is my least favorite Rainbow Road of all time. And I'm so sick of this track being remade over and over again. It's been remade like, what, 4 or 5 times or something? Counting Super Circuit? Yeah. Now, while I do think the graphic in that one is pretty, it still don't take away the fact that I'm still sick of SNES Rainbow Road from Super Mario Kart being remade over and over again. Like, come on. We have some other Rainbow Roads that we could be bringing back. But you keep bringing this one over and over again. Like, Nintendo, are you out of ideas or something? Come on. I could ramble on more, but this video already have taken about an hour now. And we're like almost done with this one. Anyway, next up we have Ice Outpost. Probably like the most underrated ice theme course in my opinion, because this one is actually one of my favorite ice theme course. You got some tricks that you can do here and there. There's like 2 lanes that you can go on for like the first part and like the final part of the section, and there's some shortcuts here and there. I think they utilize this one pretty well. And I think this one is about as solid as can be. For Ice Outpost, I will put this in B tier. But just barely above Twomp Ruin. Ranking these are pretty hard for me, by the way. I'm not going to lie to you. But, yeah. Anyway, next we have another crossover track, being Hyrule Circuit. Solely based on Legend of Zelda, as Link was a playable character in that game. Now, Hyrule Circuit, I'm just going to say right now, I'm not a big Legend of Zelda fan, and I never could get hooked into the franchise for some reason. Now, I do like the Legend of Zelda character in that game. I guess that's basically because of Super Smash Bros. Introducing me to them. But other than that, Hyrule Circuit is a pretty solid track in my opinion, but I don't think it's as good as Ice Ice Outpost. Now, the reference they do in Legend of Zelda is pretty neat. Like Piranha Plant being referred to as Deku Plant, I think it was. I am not a Legend of Zelda expert. I am very sorry if I get some of these wrong. And the swoopers are like Legend of Zelda Bath or whatever those were called. And there's like the 3 switches that you can hit to unlock the Master Sword too, which I think is a pretty cool detail as well. And the coins are gems, like rubies and that stuff. That's all I know about Legend of Zelda. Because like I said, I can never get hooked into the series as much as I wish to. But yeah, Hyrule Circuit, pretty solid track. But it's not my favorite circuit, obviously. Well, that's it for Wave 1, but now it's time for Wave 2, which is mostly Animal Crossing theme. And next we have, oh boy, this is a love and hate track coming from Double Dash. This is Baby Park. It's an oval track with 7 laps. It did a 5 lap like frickin' Mario Kart DS was. And this one has anti-gravity in like the final stretch of the lap. Now, while I would rank this pretty high, but this isn't Mario Kart Double Dash. Honestly, with the track being as simple as it is, this one doesn't scream excitement for me. It just doesn't. Sorry, it's just... As much as I do love Baby Park and Double Dash, I don't think Double Dash Baby Kart can be toppled by any of the remakes and that stuff. I have to give it a D tier. Like, racing on the track can get increasingly frustrating at times. It's chaotic, yes, but too simplified of a track, in my opinion. Anyway, next up we have Cheatland from Mario Kart Super Circuit. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Cheatland in this game. In fact, I think the OG version of that does better. It's a mid-track at best, and it doesn't look too much like Cheat in my opinion. I do think it's a little better than Super Circuit, Mario Circuit, and Cheap Beach. That's pretty much all I can say. The chain chomp is a hazard that you can go, that you have to avoid, and then you have like some shortcuts that you can do, which can be pretty helpful. That's pretty much about it. Next up, we have Wildwood, another new track. And this is where you're going down a waterfall, and you're like driving through the woods and that stuff. And it's anti-gravity. Very fun track. I love it. I love it, honestly. Wildwood is a fun track to race on. And having to drive through the lily pad and that stuff, pretty fun. This is like an A tier for me. And you also have the Shy Guy singing on that one as well. Also forgot to mention that in the Warriors Gold Mine, but yeah. Wildwood is an A tier for me. Anyway, I actually might change this ranking a little later and move stuff around, but yeah. Anyway, next we have Animal Crossing. Yes, that's what the track is called. And it's based off of 4 different themes. Like you would see in life. You have a spring season, the winter theme, the summer theme, and the autumn theme. Now, like Legend of Zelda, I can never get get my heart into Animal Crossing. Because it's supposed to be like a cute little chibi game and that stuff. It never screamed excitement for me for Animal Crossing. And I think it's just a mid-track at best. Now, in terms of what season I like, I guess my favorite one would be the spring season. That's pretty much about it. And you also got like the coin from Animal Crossing too. You have like Mr. Reset. He has a obstacle. Apple gives you mushrooms, I believe. I'm sorry. I'm not crazy about crossover tracks in general. Which is why I'm going to give Animal Crossing a C tier. Anyway, next up we have the last cup being Bell Cup, being Neo Bowser City from Mario Kart 7. Honestly, to me, Neo Bowser City is still a fun track to me, but I think the OG does a little better for me in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of on par with Mario Kart 7, but I think the rain slippery effect kind of makes this track a little bit too hard, especially if you're doing it on 200cc. That does exist, by the way, for those wondering. Neo Bowser City, it's a pretty challenging track, and I think this one's pretty solid. But I'm going to give it a B tier this time around. Neo Bowser City doesn't scream with much excitement as it should. Next we have Super Circuit Ribbon Road, another one of my favorite Super Circuit track that made it in Mario Kart 8 as a DLC track. This one's pretty cute, honestly, as this is more of like, it kind of gives off like a Toy Story vibe in my opinion, where you have like the cloud car that's moving back and forth, left and right, and you got like a little wavy road and that stuff. You got Mecha Koopa to dodge. I think this one's pretty cute, and it's a pretty solid track, just like Neo Bowser City is. I don't consider this F-worthy, but I do think this is at least an A tier. At best for me. Still one of my favorite Super Circuit cores. Still is to this very day. Only 2 tracks left, and next we have Super Bell Subway. This is a track where we have a subway train driving around, and we got lots of paths that we can take, where we can go over the Super Bell Subway, or we can take risks by driving through the subway track. There are certainly some options here. Now, while I do think this is like one of the weaker Nitro tracks that featured in a Mario Kart game, I still think this one's pretty solid. This is another B tier track for me. I'll put it just under Mario Kart Stadium. And then, last but not least, we have the last track coming from an F-Zero game, Big Blue. Obviously, this is going to go to S tier, because if I said it once, I'll say it again. F-Zero is one of my favorite franchises to play, aside from the Mario franchise. Big Blue is a section-based track, and it's super fun to play. I also love how on when you get to the final section, the announcer's like, "Yeah, the final lap," and the music just rocks hard, dude. Like, I just can't get enough of how good the track really is. So yeah. Also, gonna change up my ranking a little bit, because my thought has changed as I was talking about them. But there you go. those are the first half of Mario Kart 8 track for the base game. This one was a bit of a challenge for me, honestly, because a lot of these tracks, those were good, and there was only like a few that were mid or worse than mid. So, here are the results for the first half of the track. So, for S tier, we have Big Blue, Mute City, Mario Kart 7 Music Park, Mount Wario, Mario Kart Wii Grumble Volcano, Electrodrome, and Twisted Mansion. A tier, we have Mario Kart 7 Piranha Plant Slide, Mario Kart DS TikTok Clock, Bowser's Castle, N64 Rainbow Road, Mario Kart 64, Double Dash's Yoshi Circuit, Dragon Driftway, Super Circuit Ribbon Road, Shy Guy Fall, Wild Woods, Sunshine Airport, Mario Kart 7 DK Jungle. And that's all for the A tier. B tier, we got quite a few of them this time around. Mario Kart 7 Neo Bowser City, Cloud Top Cruise, Mario Kart DS Wario Stadium, Mario Kart Wii Wario Gold Mine, Mario Kart 64 Yoshi Valley, Mario Kart 64 Royal Raceway, Rainbow Road, Toad Harbor, Ice Outpost, Hyrule Circuit, Swamp Ruin, Mario Kart Stadium, Super Bell Subway, Water Park, and Excite Bike Arena. C tier, Sweet Sweet Canyon, Dolphin Shoal, Super Mario Kart Donut Plains 3, Mario Kart Wii Moo Moo Metal, Double Dash's Sherbert Land, Super Circuit Cheese Land, Super Circuit Mario Circuit, Mario Kart DS Cheap Cheap Beach, and Animal Crossing. D tier, Super Mario Kart Rainbow Road, Mario Circuit, and Bone Dry Dunes. And in the F tier, there was one, but I decided to put 3 on there. Double Dash's Baby Park, N64 Toast Turnpike, Mario Kart 64, and Double Dash's Dry Desert. Actually, I'm going to put Double Dash Baby Park in D. Now I think about it. But yeah, that's all for the first half of Mario Kart 8 from the base game. Next time we're going to be talking about the Booster Core Pack in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to fill in for the second half. And oh boy, did my thought change over time. Which one changed? Well, that's a surprise for later. But anyway, guys, that was a tough one for me to rank, but the next one's going to be even tougher from here on out. So, once again, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching this, and if you enjoyed this, and you'd like to see the Booster Core Pack next, don't forget to punch that like button, and I'll see you guys next time. So, once again, I am Fightman64. See you all. Have a good day. Game on, my friends, and take care. Goodbye, everybody, and stay safe. Adios.